Welcome to the Shifting Realities podcast. I'm your host, Julie Allison, and with me is my co host, Rob Perry. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about the theme of that your life is a movie. It's actually a movie, it's a hologram, it's a simulation. And guess who gets to write the script? You do. And this theme has come up because I've been talking to various members of my family, various friends. What happens is to get to these podcasts, I always found there's a theme, and me and Rob talk about it, and there's a big theme comes up over the week. And various members of my family or my friends have been talking about how the outside world needs to change. So what I mean by that is they're constantly saying, oh, this person did this and this person did that. And they might want to even blame the person, or they want to play victim to the person that's doing something to them. So this is still all about how we still look to the outside to change things, when in actual fact, if we move beyond this 3D matter simulation and understand that the only thing that exists is our consciousness and us as a human. So we have our bodies, which are electromagnetic. So we can choose, we literally can choose what the outside life looks like. We can choose to rewrite the script to our movie. Okay, I just cannot stress enough how it's you create your own reality. Basically, you create your own reality, and as a collective, as a human collective, we could then co-create it all together. So instead of creating a world that's we don't like or is bad, why not? Why don't we create a world that we want to live in and that is full of peace and joy and happiness and a life fulfilled? And that's really the message that myself and Rob constantly want to give out to you. So have you got anything else to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the life as a movie concept, and
Yeah.
here we are at award season in the cinema as well,
Oh, yeah.
so it's nicely timed. I think people get a little scared by the "you are a hologram" thing because
They
it's
do.
hard. It's a hard concept to grasp.
Yeah.
But there are many ways to look at it, and I would always ask people to look backwards in your life to when you made a decision. You made a decision, not one that was made for you,
Mm,
that changed your life.
mm,
Whether you quit a job, started a new job, gave something up, followed a new tack, read a book, whatever it was, something that made a profound difference to you that you drove.
yeah.
So you made a choice, you followed through on the choice, and it changed your life. So that's a very simplistic way of achieving the same thing, I think. You are creating what you want to create. And it's so easy, Julie, now, isn't it, just to not create, just to
Mm,
be led and follow the pack and not have to think about things. And most of you put on the television and it's just a lot of junk. You go
yeah.
to the cinema and it's often hugely disappointing. You look for things that other people are looking for, but you don't look for what you're looking for necessarily. So if you take a massive step back and forget anyone else for a minute and allow yourself, if you want to use the word selfish, fine, use it,
Mm,
but step back and just think, what do I want? What is right for me, and what can I do to achieve it? And just take steps towards it. Take small steps. And your hologram will adjust
mm,
because it's understanding what you meant. And if you don't set that intention, how must it know where to go? You know, your hologram knows a lot. You know a
mm,
lot, but you have to open to it.
yeah.
And there's all the help in the world you need if you contact your guides, spirit guides, ascended masters, galactics, the works. Everyone's out there to help you if you let them. But
Mm.
I think the first thing to you, and I said this to you earlier, Julie, is I felt guided to say the word trust somewhere today,
Oh, yes.
is just
Yes.
trust yourself.
The,
Stop
the only
trusting others.
person.
No,
Mm.
don't stop trusting
Mm.
others. That's not a great thing to say, is it? But what I mean is listen to yourself first and
Mm.
foremost, because your truth is your truth and nobody else's. You know, the rest of your family and the people you love have their own truth. And if you all live in your own truth, you will collectively progress as a group. So, yeah, it's tricky for anyone to I think, just go, oh, I'm a hologram and I can just be what I want. But it is true. You're in this matrix. You are a changeable thing. You're a changeable energy source. And, you know, do you remember way back when, and maybe still, we used to say, oh, I'm going to manifest this.
Yes.
I'm going to manifest winning the lottery. I'm going to manifest
Yes.
this new job, whatever. And, you know, that was all fine. It's part of the same process. And that putting your thought intention in the right place. And it needs to be the right place, not any place that you think. It has to be the place that you intuit, where your discernment allows you to say, this is my road and I want to go this way, please.
Yeah.
And then you start making the changes. You make that change internally, and then the external changes follow because you've switched your reality.
Yes.
That was a mouthful.
Oh, it is. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's definitely what I'm not saying here, and I'm sure Rob isn't oh, it's really easy. You know, we're manifesting everything. You know, we're manifesting magnets, and we're sorting everything out. There's a little bit of difference because we are doing things for humanity, and we're trying to get everything sorted beyond our humanness. And did you hear me say trying? Because yes, sometimes it really does feel like hard work. The hard work in creating the hologram that you want and creating a beautiful hologram for all of humanity. So another new, another version of Earth, if you like, is the understanding of how things work. You know, people say about in life's purpose and learning lessons through the traumas, but I always feel like the lessons are not strictly within the traumas, because I feel more like the traumas come about to help us wake up, if you want to call it that word. So the traumas come about because it's your soul nudging you to, it becomes a catalyst for going, actually, is there something else? Is there something else in this life I can do? So it's not actually the trauma that's creating the lesson, but the lesson is how to move away from it and how to move into this fulfilled life. So this life, I always want to say beyond human, this life of our wholeness, this life of our trusting and going within. And that's when we start to change the perspective on the things. And that's how we then start to change the reality that's on the outside. Like Rob said, if you think back to the times that have changed, look at getting a job. If you are in, I'm going to say, a dead-end job, and all you're doing is going, oh, I want to manifest and I want another job, but what you're doing is you're doing that for maybe 2 minutes in a day, and the rest of the 23.58 minutes of the day, you're stuck, let's say, in the current reality that you've created previously, in things that you don't like, and then you let that consume. I'm going to say you allow that to consume because it is all a choice. We don't often think it's a choice. Remember all of this, I'm still not saying it's easy if we don't know how to manipulate the energy and manipulate and understand us as what we're magnetizing and what we're reflecting and what we're drawing things to us. But when we start doing that, think of the time when you go, I really want this job. And then you start to take action, and you start to change the reality by saying, I need to go on this training course, for example. So we're not always saying go on training courses, but you're starting to bring more of the reality into the job that you want. You're starting to bring the reality into more of what you want by then looking at where can I get this particular job? You're looking at all the job prospects. Instead of what some people will do is the reality will just be in the stuck version because they're thinking to themselves, I'm not good enough. We've got that. The reality on the outside is all about not being good enough for you. And that's the script, that's the movie. Here we are, movie of Julie, the not good enough, not deserving, not worthy person. That's my movie. And that's what we've got to then change and understand how we change it. By understanding, gosh, what am I reflecting? What is this person reflecting to me, rather than saying, oh, this person did this to me, this person did that to me. And the other thing about this is, say you're going for that job and you get turned down 20 times. You go for that job and you might get to interview, or you might, you just might get the, Dear John letter, as it were, and you just get turned down so many times. What would you do then? Do you just give up and go back to the old version of yourself, continue in that old version of yourself? Or do you take up the challenge and go, ha, universe, that's the test. I know you're giving me a test with this. Ha ha. I'm going to just change my perspective a little bit more. What else can I do to say, this is what I really want? It's almost like you've got to, if I said prove, not to anybody else, you've got to prove to yourself, you've got to prove to your higher self, I am capable of this. Can you see how there are many people, athletes do it, also, writers do it. I can see, Harry Potter, how Harry Potter was written. I'm aware that she, J.K. Rowling, I think she was turned down by 15 publishers, and then that last publisher, she never ever gave up on that dream. So she never ever gave up on this new reality of herself, a new simulation. She probably had images of children reading the books and being so elated and wanting to read more and wanting to read more. That's her goal. That was always her goal. And then in a little bit of money. And look what's happened from that. So you can see, the only thing you can look on the outside to is the people that inspire you. That's all I would say. What we tend to do is look on the outside for the people who have the conditioning like us, because it's equally like us, where somebody would go, well, you can't have that job because there's no money in it, or, well, you can't just leave your job because you can't afford it. And don't think for 1 minute we say just leave your job, but it's keeping in your job, but with the potential that you actually, in the background, changing all that reality into the job or into the life that you want. Do you agree, Robert? Is there anything else before
No,
I
of course I agree.
go on forever
Following
with
that
this?
analogy as well is, if you're in that dead-end job, there's a reason you're in that dead-end job. Basically because you chose to be in that dead-end job. So now your hologram wants to get out of that. So you need to shift it, set your intention, and then allow yourself to move. I think that you were saying, if you get 20 applications in and you get rejected all round, some go to interview or not, absolutely plow on with that, but also make absolutely sure this is the right avenue.
Yeah.
It's quite easy, I think, to say, oh, I really want to do that. And you go for it and go for it and go for it, but it's actually not the right thing for you. But never give up. Really never give up. And I want to go back as well to trauma that you were talking about, and how that shifts us. We all go through trauma, whether we like it or not. And when you look at your own trauma, take any moment you want, it is generally the matrix giving you one big slap and saying, sort yourself out. So trauma can be a very, very necessary driver into shifting your reality. But you don't need the trauma to shift your reality. If you start work ahead of trauma and you start shifting your reality by rethinking yourself, what you want to be, who you are, where you're going, and setting those intentions, the trauma might not happen. But if you don't do that, expect the trauma. Because it will come with a great big handbag and wallop you.
I can vouch for that. Yeah,
we all
it's
can.
happened to us all. It's happened to us all.
That's why the Tower card is in the tarot deck. It's just,
yes,
you sometimes need that kick in the back to sort yourself out. But I would urge people, don't wait for it.
Yeah,
And a lot of people do. You sit in your reality that you're not happy with, and you just wait for something to change. And inevitably something will change, but you won't be any further on your life path at all. You'll just change it slightly. You won't be living what you're meant to live. And as we know, that's your own creation. So if you sit back and you don't create, you'll just get along, and your life might be fine. But your life won't be thrilling, and your life won't have real purpose, and your life won't contribute to your ongoing spiritual self in this lifetime or any other.
Yeah. So we can be that, we know it comes from conditioning, doesn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
This is what we say
Yeah.
about, when you just trust yourself within, you're not dealing then at that moment in time with your conditioning. But what we do is we seek to the outside. So when you have somebody else saying, oh, you can't do that because, you're looking at their conditioning, and that feeds into you. So you take that on board. And this is what we talk about when we, going within, trusting yourself. What is it you want from your higher self, your soul? What is soul wanting? And the only way you will know with that is either going to, yes, go with outside, go to a therapist, but look within. What is soul telling you to do? So if you want something, what's funny, the trauma thing here, I've experienced this in the sense that I got made redundant. So there I was, way before I was awoken, let's say, in a place where it started to get where I didn't like it. Lovely job at first, but didn't like it. Ready to move, really should have been ready to move on. But what did I do? Sat in my comfort zone. And that's what we do. That's part of the conditioning. It's very, very easy to sit very comfortably, and that's what many, many people do. So you will even get parents saying it or friends saying, "Oh yeah, you need to stay in that job." Once again, we're not saying just leave the job before you do anything else, work on something else. But if you stay in the job, and as Rob said, don't do anything about creating another life. What most people do is just complain about having another life, and all you're doing is bringing in more of what you don't want. But remember, if you're not doing something, universe, like a job, it will, I got made redundant, so it will kick you out of that job because it will say, for goodness sake, Julie, you've got to go. So this, that's when you go, that's what makes you jump into action. But that's okay. So the lesson there wasn't the complaining, oh, I've been made redundant, I'm a victim, woe is me. It's like, wow, what an opportunity. What can I do now? And actually, what I was doing is I'd started to do massage 3 years before. I was doing it on an evening and a Saturday, and I just made it more. I think I did actually go part-time. But I just made massage my thing until I did as well, for the comfort zone, get another part-time job, which I've stayed in for 7 years, but loved that as well. Actually loved having a smaller job that I didn't have to, that I didn't have the I was going to say the trauma of the pressure when you're sort of like, I'm going to say management. I was only very, very low management, but I had, management duties, as it were, in previous jobs, and they can be very stressful if they're not what you're, if they're not quite what was what should have been happening in your life. But don't forget as well, they also made me the person I am, and made the hologram around the hologram around me, that reality. So I'm always forever grateful for that past. But I had to do something when I got made redundant, and it was all exciting at the time. Scary, but so exciting because you can bring up more opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking very much about work at the moment, just
Yeah,
as an area of discussion.
yeah.
You can apply this to absolutely every
Everything,
area of your life. So,
everything.
don't fixate on work because we are.
Yeah,
Fixate on whatever isn't working for you right now.
yeah.
Are your relationships working?
Mm-hmm.
Is there no relationship? Why is there no
Mm-hmm.
relationship?
Mm.
Shift your reality and allow one in.
Yes.
You know, just the same way as you
Yeah.
would shift your reality to allow the right job in. It's the same kind of process, you know. And so hard for people, Julie, because right now life is hard for everyone.
It is. It
People are
is because there's a
stressed about
collective.
feeding their kids and paying
Yes.
school fees and just the
Yes.
normal stuff of life. So
Yeah.
even contemplating changing
Mm.
is terrifying,
Mm.
because
It is.
perhaps I should just sit here because I can manage. And
Mm.
if I
Mm.
change, what am I doing?
Mm.
But change you must.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it
Yeah.
advisedly, and do it with thought, and do it with truth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you'll find your way.
Yeah.
And get help. Come to someone like us if you want to. or anyone
Yes.
near you, and just get someone who will just guide your thought process the right way until you're
Yeah.
able to go on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as you and I both know, the best thing is when someone comes to us and we can say, "Off you go."
Yes, definitely.
You're done.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to add in here, Rob, to that, to the
Yeah,
struggle. I always call it strugglement. I make up
yeah,
words because,
yeah.
I'm not really into English in the way, do light language and I'm better with that. So the strugglement, it's the understanding that we've said before about plugging into certain matrices,
Mm.
that there are people that want us to keep struggling because they want us to not be able to be in our comfort zone and not be able to go, what more is there out there? That there
Mm.
are we're me and Rob are here to say there's so much more out there. I'm going to say it beyond 3D, but to bring through to have the 3D life that you want. But of course, the sort of the matrices are so much distorted. That just remember, this is why I want to talk about things about changing your reality. Is there are some realities that are created that you want to be plugging out of. I'm trying to do this without being a conspiracy theorist and say, just be aware of, what you're looking at out there and why, and think about why you're struggling and what's going on with the some powers that be in terms of wanting people to just be worrying about paying bills so much that they're not seeing what the
Mhm.
truth is. Is that is that a way I can say it without
I think you can. I think
without
you can.
yes.
And
Yeah.
it's a tale as old as time, isn't it?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
have always been groups of
Yeah.
people in
Of course
power,
there is.
and
Yeah.
it's far easier for them if you think their way and you
Yes.
believe what they say and you
Yes.
follow that, because then they can manipulate things the way they want to
They
do it.
can. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and again, we will not go down any
No,
conspiracy
no,
theory
no.
routes. You know me and conspiracy theories, I don't like them.
We could yes, yes.
It's simply a fact of life,
It
is
is.
that
Yeah.
small groups of people run large groups of people
That's right.
and they
Yeah.
dictate the way they think
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
easier to control.
It is. It's
Yeah,
far easier. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And so
So,
it's just being aware. Yeah.
yeah, but when people start to wake up and
Mm-hmm.
start to make their own reality,
Yeah.
then that rocks the boat a bit.
It does.
you know
That's right. It
and
does.
and look around the world now and there's a lot of boats rocking.
There is. There is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is. And also understand globally, collectively, things are changing, but there has to be a fall before there is a rise all the time. It's just an ebb and flow. That's how the universe works. That's how energy works. There's a kind of ebb and flow. So, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what we want to tell
Yeah.
people, just literally when you go with your flow, when you go within, you can see the world in a different way yourself anyway. And you can work in those 3D, that 3D world with
Hmm.
a different perspective, with something else, and choose a different lifestyle and choose a
Hmm.
different way. It can come overnight, or for most people, it just is going to be, it'll feel like an uphill struggle. That's just because of how, of changing from, the sort of the pull push from your old conditioning into the new part of yourself, into the new version of yourself. Yeah.
I really
Mm.
love the light at the end of the tunnel, saying,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how old it is, centuries, no doubt,
Mm.
but
Mm.
we're beings of light,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we can get stuck in a tunnel of darkness and see the light ahead of us and not know how to get
Mm.
there.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
moving forward into your own light.
Yeah. And it's just not getting too consumed in what, in the reality that's going on. We know that it's the reality at the moment. So people struggling and just simply surviving
Mm.
is what the frequency is at the moment. But the frequency is changing as as more and more people are understanding, just starting to understand how they can change themselves, just literally, how they can change their lives. It's that moment, it's in that moment when you choose to go, do you know what? I'm just going to let that trauma go. I'm just going to let that thing go. Just be with myself and think, what are all, what's the potential here? What are all my options? Because again, when we are in survival mode, we can only see so many things, and we only see it from, let's say, the 3D perspective, and we start to go, what if this, what if that? And we think of all, as a conditioning, we think of all the bad things. We think of all the worst case scenarios, because that's how most people have been brought up. That's it. But what if, right now, what if you could go, what if this could happen? What if that could happen? And make them all the positive things, and then see what synchronicities you get from soul, what things can come in. That's a good starting point in itself. You're not trying to change the world at the minute. You're just saying, what little things can I do to play with the energy? What things are possible? And you might win a scratch card for £500 or something with that when you do that kind of thing. Money can drop in and all sorts of things.
It's
kind of thing.
we're not all going to be J.K. Rowling or Richard Branson or whoever.
Don't always want
but we
to,
can all achieve in our own little way.
Yeah.
So set your own goals and don't look to others for anything other than inspiration. But don't seek to emulate. Seek to find your own truth.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think we should leave that there, Julie.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, that's we've done everything there. We've said what we needed to say, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Lovely. Yes, so we will leave it at that. And we'll see you in the next, or you can hear us and see us in the next podcast. So lovely. Bye for now.
Bye then.